I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work and are backed by science. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body, and that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. We use only top-of-the-line formulations dosed for maximum results and the best flavoring systems available. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
Old School Bodybuilding Clothing Company. If you wish your fancy fitness center was a hardcore gym, you are old school. If you just ate chicken and rice and are about to eat chicken and rice, you are old school. OSBBC.com for the hardest training athletes.
Join the evolution.
So what we were talking about before we went on air, and this is how we're going to wrap this show up, we have some funny stories. Obviously, some of the funniest material that we have is before we actually go on air. And there are times that Dave will literally jump in and be like, save it for the show, save it for the show. So we wanted to bring that to the show. So Tom, we're going to go to you first on this one because you had a hilarious story with you and Milos. Pretty much right before we were about to go on, you were like, Milos, remember the last time that I actually saw you, this and this and this happened? You got to tell the story. And then Milos, we're going to go to you next for your extreme story.
Okay, so this was actually the first time I met Milos in person. So the first show I ever worked a booth at, was the 96 Olympia. Okay, it was in Chicago. And we went out, I had a contract with Metrics at the time. So did Milos. Dave, is this right before you had one with Metrics?
Yeah, it was before. It was probably like the year before.
I think so, yeah.
I was very jealous that you had that contract, by the way, and that I didn't, because I really wanted to work for Metrics.
Right on. So we went to lunch at the Olympia. It was me and Milos and Jim Quinn and Sonny Schmidt and Debbie Kruk, who was a fitness competitor. So we're out eating lunch, and Milos is telling a story about how he was on a train, how he and Sonny Schmidt were on a train going through Europe someplace. And so when they get to the border in whatever country, now there's open borders, but at the time there wasn't. So, they get stopped at the border. The guys are coming around, they're checking passports and checking people's luggage and all that. And so the guy comes up to Milos and he goes, without saying anything else. Again, this is the way I remember it, Milos. Guy comes up to Milos and goes, so where's your testosterone? Because of course Milos was, 265, 270. Sonny Schmidt was about the same, maybe a little bit bigger. Where's your testosterone? And without missing a beat, Milos goes, it's in my balls. Where do you think it is?
Exactly.
And I told these guys, I've told that story 100 times. I love that story. Like, I would give anything for that to be my story.
Well, I just finished it after I said, in my balls, where else do you want to see it? I mean, shit, when somebody asks me this kind of, that's my first response, of course.
Oh, that's great.
But we talk about the time of many things. But like a couple of weeks ago, I was with Chris Cormier, and then he told me, Milos, I was always wondering, what were you taking that 1997 European tour? Because me and Nasser, we were watching you, and like you were sweating profusely. There's like November, it was like snow outside, and we were only in the jackets, you're in a t-shirt. So, okay. Did I ever tell you this story, Dave?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so 97. And remember how 97 was? I think that Nasser deserved to beat Dorian in Olympia.
Yeah.
And then there was a super tight lineup. I mean, Lee Priest, Paul Devere. And then there was Chris Cormier was 8th. Ronnie was 9th. I was 10th at Olympia. Then we go to Hungary. And in Hungary, actually, I beat Chris Cormier first show and Vince Taylor. And then we go to Spain, and next day, and then we go to England, and Chris Cormier beat Nasser. I mean, this is now Nasser who could have beat Dorian and win Olympia. Now Chris is beating him because everything was like so close. So Kerry Case, Dorian's business partner at the time, said, okay, Milos, the only way you can get little edges, just try to get, a little bit even more leaner. You're in great condition, but, try to. I said, what can I do? I mean, it's like 3 days until the next show. So I said, did you ever try the DNP? I said, I didn't really. I didn't really. And at the time, I didn't know much about it. But it was just like, okay, shit. If something that he believes can make considerable difference in 3 days, okay, might as well. So anyway,
There's very little that Milos wouldn't try back then. Yeah.
Huh?
I said there was very little that you wouldn't try back then in the day.
Probably,
I was going to say,
make
could you not just cover yourself in gasoline and light yourself on fire too? That would have gotten rid of everything.
That was probably equivalent to it because, I started taking it and, oh my God, it's just like furious. I was like burning up and all this shit. But we were traveling, so how bodybuilders, we always like check our skin on the abs, like, oh shit, I'm tight, I'm good. Like, but I was like burning up, and like Chris Cormier and Nasser were looking at me. I'm sweating profusely. I mean, it was just like pouring out. Like, okay, I'm not telling him nothing. So now, day of the show, and then we get to the hotel, and hotel really in Czech Republic had that little mirror up there, so you can't really see your body. It's like, okay, you can shave, but so when you look down, right, your abs and my legs are like ripped to pieces. Like, oh shit, I'm gonna fuck them up, right? So we go backstage, and so I take the clothes off and I look in the mirror. It's like, wow, I'm ripped, but I look kind of skinny. But so this is probably that mirror that makes you look narrow, right? Because they have this, some theaters and all this. So I'm like, okay, but then Nasser passed right by me, and fucking Nasser looks normal. And then I look at Nasser, look at me, it's like, shit. And then, I called my friend that was traveling with me, and he came in, and his just face dropped. Like, what the fuck? I mean, I lost, it looks like 20 pounds in 3 days.
God. Holy.
I mean, and I felt the worst in my life. So I'm very vocal about this. Anybody that's on DNP say get off of it is the unhealthiest thing you can possibly do.
Yeah.
As you know, it's a rat poisoning, and a lot of people want to take those shortcuts. And I was guilty of it. Okay, and I paid the price for it. But this is one of the things that Chris always wanted to find out, so I told him. But just to make it a little bit more interesting, I did have a lot of guys coming to my gym, and one in particular, German, would say just straight like this, Milos, I'm a living proof that no amount of anabolic steroids can kill the man. I said, okay, what do you mean? He didn't stop for years, and he was using stupid amount. I mean, I said, what is a stupid amount? Over 100 cc shit a week. Like he would just, whatever he would have, 100 cc. Okay.
Oh my God.
A guy is still alive, and So of course, I don't want people to get this in the wrong way. Abuse can be a serious issue, so I'm far away from advising anything like that. But at the same time, Dave or Tom, I'm sure that you guys know dozens, if not hundreds, of athletes that you'll be super scared about their health according to the cycles, what they were doing when they were competing. And, most of them are still around, no?
Yeah. Most of them are still around.
Yes. I mean, every time it happens that, okay, somebody died and everybody's going to point finger, oh, this is, I mean, in every other sport, for many, many other reasons, younger people do die. Yes, it could be some consequences from using, but I would, again, emphasize, use it wisely, it can enhance your health. And I understand that, Tom, you have no reason to use it now, but you did say that you put the egg and testosterone on the table and nothing happened. But
right.
I hope you did. I hope you ate that egg and you didn't throw away the testosterone. You probably
No,
should have just.
I didn't throw it all out. Right, I kept it. I'm not going to waste a good egg.
Exactly.
You know what though, Milos? I think it's all really about knowing when to stop and when to start. I mean, this is a terrible analogy, but I'll use it just because I know you both know him. I mean, Craig Titus probably was one of the biggest abusers of anabolic steroids. I mean, back in the 90s, no one would take more than a certain amount. There was almost like unwritten law. You never did more than this much testosterone. You never did more than this much Parabol. You never did this. You never took more than 4 IUs of G8. You know, there was rules that people just stuck to. Craig didn't play by those rules. He was almost like he's like the guys today. He would take ridiculous amounts of stuff, but he went to jail that one time. You know, it was a forced, you know, whatever it was, a year and a half, 2 year break, whatever he was in jail, and now he's in jail for life. But so he'll probably live to 90. You know what I mean? Because it was he never really had enough time to permanently damage his organs. So my point is that you could play hard for a limited amount of time as long as you know when to say when and stop and allow your body to heal, because the body has an amazing capacity to heal. You know, you could have a high creatinine level for 6 months and then back off what you're doing, and then your kidneys will regenerate. But if you do that, if you have a high creatinine level for 10 years, you're probably not going to recover your kidney function, you know, after that. Same thing with liver. The liver will regenerate. But if you never give it a chance to regenerate, because you never come off or you never, back off a little bit, then you're probably going to have permanent, problems later in life. Same thing with heart. The heart is a muscle. It does get bigger. You know, I had an enlarged left ventricle for many years, and now I go for, CT scans because of my aorta, and they're like, you don't have any left ventricular hypertrophy anymore. I'm like, imagine that. I had an athletic heart, so as I stopped training as much and I got smaller, the heart shrinks in size. So you have to know when to say, okay, you know what, I pushed my body, let's back off now, because you know what, I'm 45 years old, I'm going to start getting older, and my body's not going to have that capacity to heal anymore. So it's all about balance. You have to know when to play hard, and I played hard when I played. And then when I realized, okay, I'm done, I got to back away now, and I got to think about health, because I do want to live a long time. And so some people don't care if they live a long time. If they can't be a top-level bodybuilder, they would rather not be around. And we know, I don't have to name names, we know names like that, they're not here anymore. So, we've talked about this, Milos, you and I. There are no 400-pound, 80-year-old guys. They don't live that long. They die in their 50s and 60s the most, So you have to decide, what do you want from your life? You want to live a long life? Then you better figure out a strategy to get you there, just like you figured out a strategy about how to be a big bodybuilder and get onto the Olympia stage. And I think that a lot of people don't have an exit plan. They only have an entrance plan.
Well, that's so funny. I used to tell people that when I was partying and I was in my 20s, that, you know what, I'm not gonna live past 30, so what difference does it make? I can get away with anything. Now, the only problem with that, of course, is that if you say that, then you need to die at 30. Okay? If the problem is that if you live to 45 or 50, then you got to look at it and say, oh shit, what do I need to do to survive till 50?
Right.
What do I need? You need to reassess the whole program so that you do live that long. And now you need to start looking into your health.
Dave, do you want some Craig Titus stories?
Yeah, let me hear them.
Oh, I got a few of these, but go ahead, Milos.
Yeah, so anyway, I prepared him back then in the 2002, I believe.
Hey, tell me you hated it. Tell me you hated it. Did he listen to you? There's no way he listened to you.
So this is how this. He was using like Nubain normally, right?
Yeah.
And I told him, man, you have to get off of it. And I said, no, I promise. And then he's in my gym, and I see in the middle of a workout, he walks into the bathroom, and I go right up to him, and I caught him, right? So many times. He always wanted to say, what is, next stage. So he was competing. I was preparing Melvin Anthony also for that show, San Francisco. And they were backstage, I couldn't go because I was in Japan at the time. And Craig is calling me, Milos, it's 20 minutes to the stage. And, I don't look as good as I want to. Is there anything I can do? I said, well, I know that you always have that injectable Lasix, but if you do the intramuscular, it's not going to work. You have to go to the bathroom and do IV. You just go slowly, because it works instantly, right?
Yeah.
So Apparently 20 minutes before, he didn't look like nothing. He could beat Melvin. But then he says, as he was doing it, then he was just like open the water coming out, and he managed to beat him. So Craig Titus beat like in the last minute adjustment. But promoter from San Marino, Gianrico Pica, for example, in those 2002, as Tom mentioned, I'm going to Craig Titus's room, and we had a protocol that he's supposed to take, and right, he didn't supposed to be on a Nubain, of course, and he didn't supposed to eat the junk. I'm coming in, and he's pushing out a table full of, you can imagine, fries, ketchup, burgers, shit, all kinds of stuff that he didn't supposed to eat. And then, of course, I come in and say, sorry, bro. And then he didn't even say hello to the Gianrico Pica. I mean, this is the guy he meets for the first time. And he was like, Kelly, where's my fucking shit? And then here comes Kelly and run, and he takes from her Nubain, right?
Yeah.
He takes it there and starts injecting IV, right? And he's just, don't you ever take my shit, da, 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 da. And then, oh, what's your name, bro?
Like he didn't care.
That's typical, Craig.
Yeah.
And I love the guy. I mean, he was, personable. He was super funny. But as you know, he had his demons, and as you did mention him, I just want to share those stories.
Dorian said he hated working with him. Dorian told me that Craig didn't listen to him. Dorian, the way Dorian put it was, I don't know why somebody would pay you and then never listen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm imagining these conversations between Dorian, and Dorian is not a big talk. I'm imagining these conversations back and forth where Craig's asking, what should I do?
Yeah.
Dorian tells him, and then Craig starts arguing about what he wants to do.
Right.
That would be Craig all day long.
Yeah.
One more story. I got one more real quick. Okay, this is going to be about Cormier, though, okay?
All right.
So going to the Manchester show the week after the Olympia in 2001, okay? The guy comes from one of Kerry Kay's assistants. So Kerry Kay's was a promoter of the show, also Dorian's partner.
Right.
We're in Manchester, England. The guy picks me up at the airport, drives me to the hotel. He grabs my luggage. I'm all, hey, thanks. And we're going up to the room. As we're going to my hotel room, we're walking down the hallway, and there's 3 pizza boxes leaning against the door. 3 Pizza Hut pizza boxes leaning against the door of the hotel room. And I look at the guy and I go, hey, hang on one second. And I go to knock on the door. And the guy's like, wait, what are you doing? How do you know who's in there? I'm like, I don't, just hold on a second. I knock on the door. Mayor opens the door about, this wide. He's like, what's up, bro? I'm like, I just want to make sure it was you. I had my, of course, chicken, rice. Yeah. And that was literally it. Yeah. Might have been steak and rice in one meal. I had to eat perfect. I'm watching this guy with pizza boxes, that he's like picking up the phone and ordering.
The difference was, Tom, you were going to go back to your room, eat your chicken breast, and go to sleep. Chris was planning on going out dancing for 6 hours at some club that night, so he had to fuel up, to give his body a little bit of grease and salt and water, so that when he sweated 20 pounds off, when he came back the next day, he'd be ready to get on stage. Probably didn't even go to sleep. He'd probably go right to the venue from the show, from the club.
You'd have to ask him that. I don't know, but yeah. That's funny.
One more thing about Craig changing the things. Of course, I gave him an insulin protocol, intra-workout carbs and all. So then after a couple of days, he said, oh, bro, I didn't tell you, but I'm doing something even better. I said, what? I went and I didn't buy the dextrose. I bought the fructose. Fructose is a natural sugar. It must be better. I said, for the love of God, you know what they use, the fructose intra-workout. But yeah, as far as Chris Cormier now, they say, I also prepare him, the 2002, 2003, and there was like, kind thing. You see, he needed this kind of stuff. We were in Amsterdam, and Dorian Yates, Dennis, and Chris, we went out. So of course they serve you like a box with the 18 different kinds of whatever, marijuana, hashish, God knows what, And I didn't take it because I can't handle it, right? But of course, Chris did. Next thing you know, he's out of it. I took a picture. I actually posted on Instagram like a couple of weeks ago that he's sleeping in that bar. And then as soon as he woke up, he ate 8 ham and cheese sandwiches the day before the show. 8 ham and cheese. And of
Yes,
course,
he had the munchies?
Yeah, because of course, but he could get away with anything. I mean, I still think that if Chris really dedicated 100% to bodybuilding, he could have been Mr. Olympia.
I think that too.
It's incredible structure, phenomenal physique, nothing missing. I mean, and it's I love the guy absolutely. I just think that if he just did that little extra,
Dorian was convinced of that too. Dorian said he should have been Mr. Olympia. He was trying to train him, but I think he got a hold of him too late. I got 2 funny stories though. One is, I always champion myself as probably one of the greatest eaters of bodybuilding. I had a great appetite. I had a great ability to down food, pour shakes down my throat. It didn't matter. I didn't miss, And I thought I was the best eater. At one point I was probably eating about, almost 6 Met-Rx shakes a day and probably 6 food meals, and they were big food meals. It was a lot of food. And I needed to. I was like 319 pounds, and this is before guys were 300 pounds. Matter of fact, this was so early on that guys, like I remember Jay Cutler did in an interview, he's like, oh, there's no reason to be 300 pounds, because no one could be 300 pounds. It was like Dorian and me and Nasser. So, and I was an amateur. So to me, I prided myself on the fact that, and I was pretty lean at that weight. So, while I didn't have their structures, I certainly had a lot of mass. I went up to Canada to stay with Greg Kovacs for about 5 days. I stayed at his house he was married to Kim, his wife at the time. And I go up there, and Kim had Greg on this eating regimen where she would, and I don't know if you guys ever hung out with Greg, you'd know, like Kim would have a shake in front of him and a meal. Like he didn't have to think about the food. She prepared everything, and he would just like a machine go to the table and eat the food or drink the shake, and this went on. Every hour that he was awake, there was another meal or shake there. Now, when I stayed with her, she had great hospitality. She's like, I'll make all your food and shakes, don't worry about it. She's like, what do you need? I said, well, I'll eat whatever Greg's eating. Because I'm thinking, I'm eating 12 times a day, right? Or almost that much. I could certainly eat as much as he can, right? I mean, I almost didn't make it. I seriously, when I left his house after 5 days, I had gained 8 pounds. Okay, and I was so sick to my stomach from eating because this guy I thought I was a machine. He was eating like my shakes were 50 grams of protein. His were like 100 grams of protein. My meals were like 8 or 9 ounces of protein. His meals were 16 ounces of protein. I've never seen a human being eat that much. I mean, it was unbelievable. I was impressed. And like I said, up to that point, I don't think I ever saw anyone who could eat better than I could. So Greg was a creature from another planet. I'm telling you, it was. You might not like his structure or whatever the case in terms of competitive bodybuilding, but there was no one bigger than this guy in the history of our sport. I don't think.
Yeah. But the 96 Olympia before, when I met Milos.
Yeah.
Kovacs. That was the first time I ever saw Kovacs either. He was walking around in a tank top and a pair of by the way, it was cold in Chicago, but a pair of the little tidy white, not tidy whities. The little
spandex.
Spandex, they're the short ones.
Yeah.
And I mean, every bit of 380, 400 pounds. Yeah. I mean, gigantic. I don't think I'd ever seen a bigger human being.
Yeah. No, he's enormous.
The
other story I had was it's actually a tie between Nasser and Milos, but I've told the Milos one before when we were in Dubai. We were in Dubai. The way it is, Dubai today is Vegas. When Milos and I went there in '96, it was basically sand and one hotel. And we were in this hotel, and we were all dieting and stuff like that. And so, we go down for breakfast, and Milos is like, we need, we want I think him and I got 14 egg whites or something like that, for breakfast with a bowl of oatmeal. And I think they wanted to charge us $500 or something like that. And Milos went nuts. Milos went crazy and was screaming at them. I don't even know what language he was speaking, but he was screaming at them. And finally, the guy who brought us there, the promoter or whatever, came in and was like, Milos is like, we need food. Next thing I know, there was 600 chicken breasts delivered to our hotel room, and we had food the rest of the weekend because of that. And so I thought I was a big mouth. Milos, man, wiped up the floor with those people. It was unbelievable. But I'd never been charged $500 for egg whites. That was the most expensive meal I ever had. And then the other funny eating story, since I'm doing eating stories, is I was guest posing with Nasser El Somadi in it was called the Eastern Grand Prix or something like that. It was in like the Bronx. And after the show, and I've told the story before, I don't know if you guys have ever heard it. After the show, we went to City Island, which is a really nice area. Like, it's a beachy little place. You wouldn't think it's in the Bronx, but it is. And there's like all these little outdoor like cafes where you can get seafood. And this guy took us, the promoter was an awesome guy, and he wanted to take us for like a real nice seafood dinner, lobsters and whatever you wanted, basically. He basically was on the menu. And it was taking them a really long time to bring the food. And Nasser was dieting, I think, for the Olympia at the time. And you know, when Nasser gets, you know, when he starts getting like, you know, fed up with people, he gets really nasty. And he's grumpy. Like, yep. he was completely taught. The waitress was a woman, which Nasser didn't. He wasn't respecting her from the minute she took his order, and she comes over and she's like, "Is there a problem?" He goes, "Yes, I have a very big problem because you are incompetent and you don't know how to cook food in this restaurant and this establishment. Obviously, I've been waiting and I am preparing for the Mr. She didn't even know what the Mr. Olympia was. Preparing for the Mr. Olympia competition, and I need my food. And this is and the promoter is like he's so embarrassed because Nasser is being so condescending to this woman. She's like, "Well, I'm sorry, sir. You know, it's very busy, the restaurant. I don't want to hear your idiotic excuses. We are here with a very important party. I am a dignitary in this party here, and I am waiting for food like a plebeian in the streets of Calcutta, India, and I don't understand this." And so she's like, "Sir, your food is on its way." He goes, I don't want any food. I want you cooking any of my food. I don't trust you to cook my food because now you will go and spit in my food. Bring me a bowl of ice cream. That is all I want." And he ate this huge bowl of ice cream. That was his meal. And he was preparing for the Olympia. I said, "Nasser, you got the Olympia. You can't eat ice cream." He goes, "I will eat ice cream because these people are imbeciles here, and I will not be subjected to their incompetence."
That's a pretty good impersonation of Nasser.
Yeah, I got my Nasser down pat.
No, Nasser,
perfecting that.
That's actually not a bad impersonation, Nasser. Because that's how Nasser talks.
If I could do the kooky eye, I'd have it real down pat. You know, if I could do the.
Hey, I'm going to add on my one little Nasser story. We were at the police and fire games in Orange County. Okay, all the Weeder guys at the time. Me, Nasser, Matarazzo, was there. Were you there, Milos?
Yeah, I was.
I think you were there too. So we were standing in line. All we were going to do is wave to the crowd, right?
Yeah.
That's all we were doing, waving to the crowd. And a lady comes over to us and starts talking to us, and Nasser starts hitting on her. And she introduces herself as Congresswoman something from Orange County. You think that would dissuade Nasser from continuing to hit on her? Nope. No, that didn't slow down Nasser one bit. "Hey, give me a call when you get a chance. Let me write your number down on the back of your card. I'll give it back to you."
I don't know. It was probably more like this, Tom.
Come on, man.
It was probably more like this. "I don't know if you know, I speak eight languages, and we can have some dignitary talk after this. I will take you out for some coffee if you would like to have my number. I mean, many women want my number, but I will only give it to the people that I think are intellectually worthy of me. Obviously, being a congresswoman like you are, I think that we might have some interesting conversation, and hopefully we will have sex after."
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Milos, jump in.
No, well, I mean, I have so many Nasser stories, but
you got the best Nasser story. You know all the scoop on him, man.
Yeah, but let me just tell you, his mother is from Serbia, right, and the father is Egyptian. So of course, we talked many times, and then as Tom said, Nasser was all over every girl that he can possibly, convince into the conversation. So bottom line, he told me, yes. My mother and father, they told me basically one woman can never be enough for the man. So I went to a dinner with his parents. I posted this picture on Instagram as well. And there was his wife, Bisera, and father, mother, and a sister. And so he goes, okay, he's kicking me under the table. Ask my mom. So I said, okay, then let me ask, but on my language, right? So the Bisera doesn't understand. It's not in English. It's Serbian. So I asked her this. Okay. I would just like to know if it's true that you raised Nasser with the idea that one woman is not enough for a man. And then she looked at me and goes, but of course, how can one woman be enough for a man? Like, are you crazy? One woman cannot be enough for a man. And Nasser, like his laugh, when he's like laughing like this,
Probably a lot funnier in Serbian too.
Yes, anyway. But I mean, he was raised that way, and that was normal. So he was just accepted. So after that, I didn't ask any other questions. So
that explains a lot, Milos, right there. What you just told. Now I really understand Nasser's whole mindset. Yeah.
Right.
When you have a mother like that,
does
man,
explain a lot.
How could you replace her, right?
Yeah, but the other thing that I really had an issue with Nasser, and we talk about this all the time. And he said, Milos, you always see good in people. You always think people are nice until they prove otherwise. I say, yes, of course. So what do you think? Oh, no. I think that everybody's an asshole until they prove otherwise.
He said everybody's everybody's a jerk unless they prove they're good people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they would have a hard time proving anyway, right? For him. But we had issues. I was constantly like fighting with him until one point, he came up to me, so did you change your mind? Because I had an issue with a few people that end up really being an assholes.
Yeah.
And I trusted them too much. But she's like, okay, I see your point, but I'm going to still stick with this. When you're raised a certain way that you believe in people and good in people, you want to stay that way. But let's.
Milos, I want to just give a little before you finish. It's funny that you say that, and I think this is to give a little bit of an inspirational message to people. You and I are very similar like that. We're very trusting of people. We believe in the good. We like to see the good in everyone, even though a lot of people have issues and they disappoint us. Whether it be business relationships that you've lost money on, or people who have disappointed you, maybe even people you're in a relationship with. But at the end of the day, when you have that positive attitude about life and about people, and you're seeing the good in everything, you always wind up bouncing back better than you were before. And you seem to live I feel like people like us live a happier, longer life. Whereas people who are very negative and see that always looking for something, some conspiracy and everything, those people tend to be very unhappy people in their lives, and they usually don't live that long. So I think there's something to the idea of looking for the positive in everything that happens in life, and looking for the good in people, because we know it's there. It might not come out all the time, but we know it's there. And I think that's a better mental outlook on life. And I think a lot of people, if they adopted that more, would be happier in the lives that they are leaving.
Absolutely. If you share the love, you love people, love your neighbor, love the stranger, right? If you can give and not take, it's a much greater gift. I mean, if you just make those little steps every day, if somebody knocks on the door, open it and asks me for something, I'll give it to them. That's how I was raised. But love is something that is missing nowadays, that's for sure. And I'm glad that they view it that way. And if just somebody does you wrong, it's most of the people, they're going to get their karma. And I don't want anything bad to happen to them. Just because they did me wrong, so now I should be changing my mind and wishing somebody some ill will. No way. But before I forget, because that's a super funny story about eating. We were in Dubai, but this time I was with Ronnie Coleman, JJ Marsh, Flex Wheeler, RQ Gurley in Hong Kong. 1992, Bolo Young invited us there. So, of course, Bolo didn't speak English at that time, and at that time, hardly anybody spoke English there. So when you go there, you try to order food, it would be impossible. But that time, it's just like the Bruce Lee movie. It was some boat, and the Enter the Dragon, when they bring you all these million different foods. Okay, so Ronnie and RQ start eating something like come on, and they were eating like crazy. I can't determine what it is. So I said, what is it? Oh, chicken. It's great. And Ronnie's eating, and then somebody is translating and said, "That's not a chicken. What is it?" And then rat. Oh my God.
Ronnie was probably like, "This is the best rat I ever tasted, man."
Milos, this is Bolo Young, the one who was in Enter the Dragon?
Yeah, Bolo Young, exactly.
Yeah, his son. Yeah, I knew his son David. I remember seeing Bolo at the Venice Golds. But yeah, Bolo was in the movie Enter the Dragon. A lot of people didn't know he was a Gold Gym regular.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he was, Boyle Young was,
He's the big muscular guy in Enter the Dragon.
How many pounds of rat did Ronnie eat?
I mean, Ronnie was eating like you can't even believe. But I just remember that time because the face that he made. I mean, he was just stuffing his face, because. Okay, I ordered chicken salad there, right? And I'm looking at this. I see everything but chicken. But then it said, no, it's a chicken skin. The only part of chicken they use for chicken salad is chicken skin.
They eat the fat. It's very fatty in the food in Hong Kong. Very fatty.
Yeah, yes. But RQ Gurley and I mean, they
LQ probably went in the bathroom and threw up. Ronnie probably finished his meal, I'm sure.
I didn't hear.
I said LQ probably went in the bathroom, threw the rat up. Ronnie probably finished his meal.
There was like so many different things.
Protein,
anyway,
right? Oh, man.
There you go.
Good story.
I think that is going to put a cap on this. What we're probably going to do is split this up into multiple episodes because this would not do justice if we just had it in one lump sum episode. But it has been an absolute pleasure. Tom, Milos, and of course, Dave, me having the absolute best seat in the house, enjoying listening to these stories. And I'm sure the fans are going to enjoy, I mean, between the three of you talking about 90 years of experience in bodybuilding and all the hilarious stories and all, of course, the inspirational stories as we talked about training, as we talked about the equation, putting it all together, training, the gear, the diet, and putting together the perfect physique. So, gentlemen, thank you and thank you again. Tom, Milos, Dave, and our producer, Tyler Shore. For everyone involved, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next time.
Hey, Dave, Milos, see you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Great show,
Great show,
Milos,
man.
great seeing you after 15 years.
Phenomenal.
I enjoyed the show a lot.